Hello, very good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Thank you so much for tuning in to the South Sudanese Women Intelligence Forum today, as we are discussing building sustainable peace in South Sudan. And today, my name is Juan Evelyn Mule, and I'm going to be the moderator for this particular topic. And with me in the studio, we have Honorable Pierre Philip Michael, who is the Undersecretary of the Ministry of Peace Building, National Ministry of Peace Building in South Sudan. Um, Honorable is a master's graduate from a university in the UK, where he studied a lot to do with education, and he's also gotten a lot of other academic credentials that have contributed a lot to his career as far as education and peace building is concerned in South Sudan. He's also a record known as the longest serving state minister, because he's been state minister for Western Equatoria for at least 8 years, since 2012 to 2022. So he's worked on a lot of projects that are big as far as the nation is concerned, that is including USAID projects, funded projects in South Sudan. So he's well versed with his building in South Sudan. So today we're really honored to have him, and we're also happy that you're tuning in to see that you can follow and also contribute to see that we can all contribute to peace building in South Sudan. So, Honorable, you're very much welcome. Can you hear me?
Thank you very much. Thank you, Joanne. Thank you for having me, and thank you to all our listeners around the world. Thank you for making time for us to discuss this important point today.
Thank you so much, Honorable. And now I can see that we have passed at least 15 minutes from our time for the start. That means we've really delayed. So let's go straight to our question, to our discussion today. Well, we want to understand what is this building in the context of South Sudan, Honorable. You can tell us now.
Yeah, thank you very much. First of all, I would like to underline, that term called peace. Peace is a very elusive subject, and researchers have found out that peace is felt mostly in its absence. It's when there is no peace that people start to fumble. But when there is peace, people just take it for granted. And so, in the context of South Sudan, given our background, where the country has come from, actually, peace is everything. Peace is a basket of good things. Peace is social cohesion. Peace is sustainable livelihood skills for the youth. Peace is economic empowerment for our women. Peace is basic infrastructure, rule of law. Peace is basic infrastructure, basic rule of law, expertise. It is basic services. In totality, peace is everything that human being dream to have and that make them happy. And so in the absence of this issue, I mean this subject, these components, then a human being will be aggravated, a human being will develop trauma, a human being will be hopeless, a human being will have nothing to lose. And then the next thing is violence, is confrontation, is challenges, is civil war. Basically, peace is a basket of every good thing that makes a human being to remain hopeful and be happy in their life. So, in the context of South Sudan, indeed, peace is development, and development is peace. Back to
Okay,
you.
thank you so much. About what you just, yes, Honorable, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, thank you so much. Yes, about what you just said about peace. according to you, in your own opinion, do you think South Sudan is peaceful? Has it achieved its mandate as far as the ministry is concerned?
Yes, South Sudan is peaceful. Yes and no. To a large extent, South Sudan is peaceful. Look, one thing that we South Sudanese need to understand is the in the context of South Sudan is first of all the size of our country. You know, South Sudan is more than the size of Kenya, Rwanda, and the Burundi put together. And so there are a lot of challenges in every country. And it is hard to tell that there is a country on planet Earth bigger like the size of our country, the size of Kenya, Rwanda, Burundi put together, that will not have some misunderstanding, some conflict, for 7 days. Even in developed democracies, these issues are there. But our level of conflict and lack of peace is also different given the context that we are coming from. To a large extent, as we speak, South Sudan is peaceful, given the context where we have come from. In 2016, there were a lot of things. South Sudan was not peaceful. In 2013, 2014, South Sudan was not peaceful. But now, the level of peace that has been attained is better than 2016 and is better than December 2013 and 2014.
Well, thank you so much. That is evidently true. And according to what you just said, the fact that you're working with the Ministry of Peace Building, what are some of you've already mentioned the fact that there's a bit of peace compared to the past. What are some of the achievements and then the challenges, and then what is the vision of your ministry?
The Ministry of Peace Building was crafted by the revitalized peace agreement in 2018 to do a couple of things, and that's exactly what the ministry is struggling to do. To develop and implement policies that would promote dialogue as a means of resolving conflict. And as you will agree with me, conflict is part of life. Conflict is everywhere, from our homes, from our society, from our countries, wherever we are. Conflict is everywhere. And so the Ministry of Peace Building, mandate number one is to ensure that there are policies that would promote dialogue as a means of resolving conflict. And then also uh, supporting the people of South Sudan, creating those platforms to promote social cohesion among the people. As you will also agree with me, since time immemorial, South Sudanese have lived as ethnic groups, in enclaves of ethnic group. The time that much of those brackets were melted down was for during the liberation struggle, when everybody came together under one umbrella of fighting for independence. Since then, there's been no much in terms of, building the social fabric of the community. The worst thing that the war breaks is not a building, in our view. What the war destroys, that takes time to rebuild, is the social fabric of the society for us to coexist again. So the Ministry of Peace Building is there to help communities through what we call people to people conversation, to see how this social fabric can be rebuilt again. Also, the ministry is focused on helping South Sudanese to move forward in coining a national identity, not to remain in our silos of ethnic discrimination, ethnic group, identifying ourselves based on our ethnic background. And then also, the ministry is struggling to build what we call the peace building architecture. How do we enforce the early warning and early response across the country, every day, every time? How do we have a functional peace building architecture that will be able to communicate all the scenarios of violence, of conflict around South Sudan, and how do we respond to those? So these are some of the initiatives and activities that the ministry is doing. But we have registered a number of achievements. One, we have developed the One South Sudan Peace Building Strategic Framework. This will help in coordinating the efforts of our partners. As you know, in South Sudan, so many partners do peace building activities, but they are not coordinated. Every day, every month, we sit our people down, the people of South Sudan, to discuss about social cohesion among themselves. But even nobody thinks what happens post the peace conference. If people say they want drinking water, nobody thinks about provision of drinking water. If they say our problem is that the road connecting us is not good, nobody thinks about that. So it's just about sitting people down, discussing, coming out with beautiful resolutions, and nobody takes the next step to look at those resolutions and work on them. So the ministry has come up with the peace building strategic framework, and to be able to coordinate the efforts of the peace building partners. The other thing we have done is peace building policy. We have also worked on communication strategy, because one thing, if you Google in the social media, you see everything negative about the Republic of South Sudan. This builds more trauma in our young people. They lose hope, and they feel that other countries, even in the region, other East African countries, are better than our country. But for a second, our country is great than many of our neighbors. So the ministry is trying to create this platform that will enable people to embrace their country, to resolve the problems that they have, and tell the people of South Sudan that they're saying that we want to peace. There is no superman, no superwoman, nobody who has a basket of peace to distribute. Peace is built, it is a process. Peace is not taken by force. It's not AK-47 that can bring peace. Peace is arrived at through sitting down, discussion, and understanding. So basically, we have tried to build the legal framework to enable the engagement of our people and partners to be able to participate and own their peace. There is nobody, in my view, who has a basket of peace, who can give peace to people around South Sudan. People must take a step, reach out to your neighbor, reach to the next partner, reach out to the next ethnic group, and build peace and create a new page, start a new page. And this is what we are encouraging our people to do. And we are happy in most cases, some communities are trying to abide by this and to see how to live together.
Thank you so much, Honorable. Talking about that, we've seen a lot of issues as far as coexistence is concerned. We've seen a lot of issues, especially in areas where there are agriculturalists and also pastoralists. So we've seen that there's a lot of tension in this community. So do you take as an initiative also as the Ministry of Peace Building to go into these particular areas where, uh, let's say, pastoralists are in the area where the agriculturists or something like that?
Yes, we are reaching out to all the corners of the country, but there are some certain areas in the Republic of South Sudan where we are now adopting what we call a holistic approach. A holistic approach is to look broadly at what that community needs to coexist and to live together. You know, one particular intervention, one partner trying to bring peace to a place, to a region, we believe is futile, is not giving the feedback that we expect. That's why now we have moved to what we call a holistic approach. In few weeks to come, we would be holding a roundtable around the greater Jongle area, the corridor from the border of Ethiopia, of Kenya, coming down to Uganda, you know, the Toposa land, all that, the Murule land. We want to have a round table to look at, because many of our partners and donors have spent millions of dollars in those areas. Of late, we heard about the mobilization of the self-proclaimed Prophet Makwach. He was able to mobilize over 35,000 youths in about 2, 3 weeks. So, and you ask yourself, who are these youths who are mobilized over 35,000 in a matter of weeks? Is there anything they've been doing for their life? Are they losing anything? Do they have anything to lose, or they have nothing to lose? What is it? What do they depend on? What is the vision of them moving forward? So we thought that just telling people to be calm is not enough. We have to look at what we call the holistic approach that will take in infrastructure development, that will focus on basic education. In some sections in those areas, some children graduate from the age of 15 and they go to the bush instead of going to a primary school. So we are thinking for an approach, a strategy that will then create a school so that instead of graduating from 15 years old to go to the bush, they should be going to a primary school. And in this way, you reduce the amount of people who are in the bush who are ready to raid cattle and to go for war. Yes, the point is we are working across the country. We are also trying to address what is the problem. Why should a community drive their cattle from where they are, where their pastoral is, to the farmland? Is there any problem that we need to resolve? That what is the push factor? For example, like the incident that happened of late in Kejikeji, what is the push factor for the people of Bor that has pushed them their cattle to Kejikeji land? Is there anything that we can do to now bring some pull factor that will take the people back? Are they running from something? Is there a way that can be resolved peacefully than force? So these are things that we are looking at. But we have agreed that one intervention is not enough. We need a holistic approach to those areas that we have mapped that need really a serious intervention. And that intervention should be from short to a longer term. Back to you.
Amazing. Are they, yes, yes, Honorable. Are there special programs in the Ministry of Peacebuilding that are designed to benefit women in South Sudan?
Oh yeah. Looking broadly, and this is what we have. This is part of our gospel chapters. Sustainable economic empowerment to the women is something that we say, because you cannot just tell communities to be, oh, you want to fight GBV without ensuring that a woman can be, to a certain extent, economically empowered, to be able to take care of her children, to be able to support the husband, when the husband do not have, resources to help the family to move ahead. So special programs includes overemphasizing the importance of women economic empowerment. And we are also saying now in South Sudan, I think, to be honest, South Sudan is doing great in terms of women participation. We are not yet there, but we are telling our women to seize this opportunity and build another cadre of women who should be able to take up these positions and be able to continue to show leadership. Mr. Google has told us that in the region, South Sudan is doing well in terms of participation of women. As you know, we have Vice President who is a woman. We have the Minister of Defense. We have the Speaker. We have Minister of Environment, Minister of Education. We have Minister of Culture and Heritage. You name them. You have a Deputy Speaker in Council of State. So we have also you have a governor who is a woman. So there, and the deputy governor, we have some threshold that the women need to build on. And as a minister of peace building, one of our very key mandate is to work across government institutions. Where we identify critical drivers of conflict, we should work with those institutions to address them. And so based on that, we have been also engaging the National Assembly just to let women be allowed to be supported to move forward. So it's now we believe there is a foundation that women can build on, bring more women on board, work with them, support them, so that the clock is not turned back to men. So this is the efforts that the ministry is doing, and then also the participation of women in conflict resolution. Wherever we go to do conflict resolution, we want to make sure that women are part of it. And in our ministry, the Directorate of Conflict Resolution and Social Cohesion is actually led by a woman. So women are participating in conflict resolution because we know women are very key in peace building and we have to work with them. Women can either promote peace or can not promote peace if they are not given the right tools. If our children are, because our children always to a large extent stay with their mothers, if women can be talking about peace and not propagate hate speech, then the children will grow to love their neighbors, to play with them. They will not export, the revenge and the thinking, the bitterness they had among themselves to the children. So women have a critical role to play in the stability of our country. Again, the other question is, are there special program? Yeah, that's what. So some of the challenges, actually, the challenges that the ministry has. Some of the challenges we have is, resources to strengthen our peace building architecture. How do we ensure that we have peace committees in all the bombers across South Sudan to be able to raise those issues to us? And how do we ensure that we have resources to always address those conflict scenario problems when they come up? In South Sudan, it's not a secret when one community is planning to attack another one. So in that way, people need to move quickly, identify the problems, make these two communities to sit before they go into confrontation. So one of the major areas that is impeding our efforts is the issue of resources. We also need to facilitate our state ministries of peace building with logistical support. They should be able to have vehicles, they should be able to have motorbikes to be able to respond to the people. Because really, much of our work is creating the environment, the platform for people to communicate. We would need to have our state ministries be able to reach out to the counties, to the bombers, and be creating that platform for different PIAMs to talk among themselves. Is there any problem that is pushing us aside? Is there any solution that we can get ourselves to this problem? So one of the major challenge is the issue of resources, that the tools that we need in our toolbox to do our work well is missing sometimes and to a large extent. So that's one challenge. And secondly is that many of our development partners, probably people who have done a similar intervention of building peace or working with communities in Rwanda, for example, or in Liberia or in Sierra Leone, sometimes they would want to do exactly what they did in Rwanda, in South Sudan. And this is where our partner need to and think, take some minutes and think about appropriate planning and project planning for South Sudan. We would want to see that our partners, whoever is doing peace building in South Sudan, should do it in the context of South Sudan in in a manner that the people can own it and can be able to within the culture and custom of the people. So doing peace building the way it was done in Rwanda and Kigali or whatever will not work in South Sudan. So this is one of the challenges. Thirdly, is that lack of coordination. Many of our partners want to do peace building on their own, and so there is no smart exit strategy, there is no sustainability, and there is no ownership. Also, there is no continuity. So when there is no ownership, no continuity, no smart exit strategy, those interventions end as soon as the project of those partners end. And fourth is that some of the partners in South Sudan would want to work on their own. They don't want to work with the government. This is a big challenge because in different countries, if you don't anchor your interventions on the government activities, then it has no roots down. If you continue to only work with civil society organization, well and good, but guess where a decision is taken? It is with the government. So we need to see how we coordinate these efforts. We anchor our intervention on the government institution, build the capacity of the government to own it and to take it forward. So these are some of the challenges that our interventions, our activities are facing. That, if addressed, I think much more would be achieved for the people of South Sudan. In terms of recommendation moving forward, South Sudan, the Ministry of Peace Building would want to recommend that partners, wherever they are, should be able to work through the government institutions for the purposes of ownership, of smart exit strategy, and of continuity. If we are to get, because peace building cannot end with the 1 year or 2 years project that our partners have. So working through the government is really important. Secondly, is if you want to do peace conferences, you need to do it again in the context of South Sudan. There are very patent issues. There are ways that South Sudanese have been resolving their conflict since time immemorial. In the other communities, it will not be peace unless a bull is slaughtered or a goat is slaughtered. But some of our partners will say, you know what, we do not have money to provide a bull. That's already the beginning of the collapse of that peace agreement. Again, our people would want their women during the peace conference to come and cook. Women will, hululate together, will shout together, will be happy together. Women of the two communities come and cook together. That's already building social cohesion among them. But some of our partners would want to bring a service provider who will come and serve our elders in a plastic plate, with chicken from Brazil, for example. So that's not peace. They will already be skeptical because their ancestors did not make peace that way, on plastic plates with chicken from Brazil and then food served to everybody, and that's it, and soda they drink and off they go. So really, we would encourage all our partners and the people of South Sudan to anchor our intervention to the government of the day and work with them, whatever intervention that we would want to do. So for the people of South Sudan, I want to encourage them that we should not lose hope. A lot of good things are happening in our country, and this is a nation building. There is no country that did not have any challenge. Every country has its own challenge, just as every home has its own challenge. So we should appreciate our country. Secondly, we should avoid hate speech against our country, against communities in our country. We should be scientific in addressing our issues. If an individual has done something wrong, let us point that individual. There is no community when everybody decided to go and fight. Even if the whole community, the whole Payam decide, but there is that one person who says, no, I'm not joining. So hate speech against ethnic groups, against individuals, against regions need to end so that people can start to embrace the country and moving forward. So this is the recommendation that we are making. And thirdly, peace is with everybody. This thinking that we want to peace, there is no government who has peace to distribute. It is you to make peace between you and in your family, with your neighbor, between your county and another county, between your Payam and other Payam. The role of the government is not to divide and put police and military everywhere. So it is up to us, it is up to me as a South Sudanese to build peace in my community. If my family is going to raid cattle and I know about it, what do I do about it? Do I take a second and say, hey, you are planning to go and raid cattle, please don't go? Or I fraternize with them, go and bring the cattle, and then we are saying we want to peace. So what is my role as a South Sudanese in bringing peace to our country? People should take this individual and think about it, because there is nobody who will come and distribute peace to us. There is no country where every home has a police and has army to defend. And the real peace is not taken or enshrined into the hearts of the people by force. It's all through dialogue. It's about saying, I stop, I will not do this for the sake of peace. It's not the presence of the military that will bring sustainable peace in South Sudan. So these are the recommendations we are making, and we hope that the people of South Sudan will take this very serious, especially our women, so that we can move forward. I want to stop here, and I thank you for your attention.